Hello, thank you for joining us for Minnesota Alliance with Youth's webinar regarding the AmeriCorps Promise Fellows program. My name is Christina and I am the Strategic Partnerships and Recruitment Manager here at Minnesota Alliance with Youth.
My name is Sarah Barrett. I'm the Promise Fellow Leader at the Minnesota Alliance with Youth, and last year I served at Inver Grove at Simley High School.
We are so excited to share more about this program with you, as well as introduce you to the other initiatives that Minnesota Alliance with Youth coordinates out of our office in St. Paul. Just to give you a little bit of background information, Minnesota Alliance with Youth has 3 different initiatives. One is our AmeriCorps program, where we run both a Promise Fellows program and a VISTA program. Our Promise Fellows program is our direct service program, so all of these service members are working directly with students for their full-time commitment, whereas with our VISTA program, that is an indirect service program, so all of our VISTA members are serving to build capacity and build out programming at various community organizations across the state. Another one of our initiatives is Grad Minnesota. Grad Minnesota is a resource library which provides resources and support to communities and schools across the state of Minnesota, working to close that achievement gap and get as many students to graduate high school as possible. Our third initiative is the Minnesota Youth Council. It is the only youth group in the nation that has legislative power. Minnesota Youth Council is made up of youth representatives from across the state in the different districts, and they have the ability to hear bills and offer their support for those bills as they move forward in the process as well. What is a Promise Fellow? A Promise Fellow is an AmeriCorps member that's committed to serve 30 or 40 hours per week for an 11-month service term at your site. Promise Fellows provide intentional interventions for students in 6th through 12th grade that are demonstrating low school engagement. So these are typically the students that are sneaking just under the radar, that require some additional support that the current infrastructure of the school or the organization may not be able to provide. So Promise Fellows come in and provide some targeted interventions in middle schools, high schools, and community organizations. Promise Fellows are also incredibly passionate. These service members are committed to providing supports to keep students or get students on track to graduate high school and close the achievement gap in Minnesota. To give you a few details about our program, we are a data-driven program. So in order to develop the focus list, which is the group of students that the Promise Fellow is working most directly with, we partner with our host sites to pull data surrounding attendance, course performance, and behavior referrals, and also a student engagement instrument. Additionally, we require our Promise Fellows to track this student data throughout their term, hopefully being able to see some positive trends for their engagement data as well. Like I mentioned before, we are a direct service program, so the Promise Fellow is committed to serving on the ground, in the trenches, working directly with their students 40 hours a week or 30 hours a week, committing all of their time to building up those relationships with students in the building. Promise Fellows serve a focus list of either 21 or 30 students, 21 students for the 30-hour-a-week position and 30 students for the 40-hour-a-week position. And again, as I mentioned, the site helps to guide this focus list selection process using benchmarks provided by the Alliance. So this is an incredibly collaborative program that we have. We do provide you with structure and we have our data benchmarks. However, it's very important to us that we're partnering with our host sites and you're able to help create that focus list using students that you feel need that extra support through our different interventions that we provide. So the 3 different interventions that Promise Fellows do is the Caring Adult Intervention, Service and Service Learning, and Out-of-School Support. Going back to that caring adult intervention, this truly is the heart of our program. This is why our service members love serving at their site, and I think this is why sites really see the value in having Promise Fellows in the building. So Promise Fellows will do the caring adult intervention by doing one-on-one check-ins with students, group check-ins. It's an incredible mentorship opportunity for both the student and the Promise Fellow. There is a fair amount of homework and study skills that goes into this caring adult intervention as well. Service and service learning is my favorite intervention of the three. This gives your entire school or your entire community organization the opportunity to have huge culture boosting service projects. Oftentimes the students that are on the focus list are not typically the ones that you see in student council, or they're the ones that teachers are pulling in the hall to help them with miscellaneous projects throughout the year. So by having the Promise Fellow lead these service and service learning interventions for their students, that is giving these focus list of students the opportunity to develop some of those leadership skills that their peers are able to build doing other activities, as well as show an increase in their confidence and their presence in the entire school or community building. Our final intervention is out-of-school supports. We believe that Promise Fellows should not only have a presence during the academic life of students, but also outside in their personal and community lives as well. So out-of-school supports typically look like the Promise Fellow helping to create different clubs or different activities, either before or after school or during lunch. Again, there is some tutoring drop-in that can happen. A lot of our Promise Fellows will go to the football games or they'll go to the choir concerts. Again, Promise Fellows just do really exceptional things to show their students that they have their backs, both during the school day and then outside, supporting them in their holistic lives as well. To give you a look at our 2016-2017 impact, through 183 members, we were able to serve 4,832 off-track students. 87% of these students improved their academic engagement, and 3 in 4 students decreased or saw no change in their detentions or suspensions. Notably as well, 40% of these students improved their attendance rate. I do also want to reiterate that well, these are the students that are formally being tracked by the Promise Fellow. There are hundreds of additional students that are experiencing the benefits of the Promise Fellow by simply having them in your building. So while we track on 21 or 30 students per Promise Fellow, their impact really dramatically exceeds these numbers as they are positive presences in the entire student body or in the entire community organization. We love our supervisors involved in the Promise Fellow program. This is a spotlight of Dan Lemke, who was the Promise Fellow supervisor at the Inver Grove Heights School District, which is also where Sarah Barrett served at. We talk a lot about those numeric data numbers, but I also feel as if the soft benefits of having Promise Fellows in your building is something that shouldn't be ignored. What Dan is talking about here in the supervisor spotlight is that he almost sees more of a benefit from the program on the days when the Promise Fellows are not in the building. He's able to see how much of an impact the Promise Fellows have on their students when those kids don't have their ally, their champion at school supporting them that day. So again, having the Promise Fellows in the building, not only going to see that increase in that student data, but also the incredible soft benefits of having Promise Fellows in your building is something that no other program would be able to provide you and your students.
So what I'm going to be speaking about is intervention examples and just kind of talking about my experience at Inver Grove last year. The first one is caring adult interventions, and I spent about 60 to 90 minutes a week with each one of my students. The minimum requirement is 20, but in my experience, we exceeded that almost every single week. Students would come find us before school, after school, sometimes between classes. We could pull them from study hall. A lot of times we would sit in on study hall and help them and then their friends around them to make a larger impact, and also to get to know their friend group and what their support systems are like. Sometimes we would go pull them from class that they're struggling with and sit in the hall and help them, or we would sit in on the actual class and take notes with the student and really help them to pay attention in class and to understand the material. So that's one really great way that we did caring adult interventions. Service and service learning, again, is one of my favorite campaigns. We did the Post-it campaign, which on my site we had 6 Promise Fellows, and all 6 of us sat down and wrote hundreds of positive expressions on Post-it notes like, "You're beautiful, keep going, we believe in you, you've got this," and then we posted them all over the school, especially in the bathrooms on mirrors. so that when students went into the bathroom, they could see a Post-it note and take it. And we really loved this because we got to see on Facebook and Snapchat, students were Snapchatting that they saw this and that it made their day, and that they had a Post-it note on their locker that really inspired them. So that was one of the service campaigns that we worked on as Promise Fellows. The next one that I was really proud of was the poster campaigns that we did for Women's History Month and for African American History Month. For both of these months, we approached our tutorial group and asked them if they wanted to help us find inspiring quotes by women and people of color, and then to put these quotes around the school on giant posters. And the students loved it. They brought us some really great quotes from Maya Angelou, Helen Keller, J.K. Rowling, Langston Hughes, just wonderful, wonderful quotes. And then we put those quotes all over the school, and you could see the impact on the school culture from all of these posters. And they had tearaway poems at the bottom or tearaway quotes, and there's probably 20 tearaways on each poster, and by the end of the month, all of them were gone. So we really felt like we made an impact in spreading a little bit about women's history and African American history there. The last grouping is out of school supports. After school tutorial groups was one of the really successful programs we started. It was open to all students and not just our focus list of 30 students. We really enjoyed working with the students after school in the library. We got to help them with homework. We got to help them have difficult conversations. A lot of times we would walk with them up to a teacher's room after school and help them build the relationships with their teachers, which I think really, really benefited the students to learn that they had the power and the voice and that they could advocate for themselves with the teachers. I think that really changed a lot of students' lives, and that was really wonderful to do. The last one, guiding difficult conversations. I know a lot of students that we work with struggle to know that they can have difficult conversations, and in our tutorial group we practiced difficult conversations in a lot of different forums, and I think that really empowered a lot of our students. This is my focus list student highlight. One of my favorite students. He always seemed to be reluctant to get help from me, and I thought that I would throw him a pizza party if he could start using his planner, because that was a goal that we had decided on together that he was struggling with, was not using his planner. So he did his planner for 3 weeks, and then at the end he got a pizza party for him and 2 of his friends. Every week I checked in. I saw that he was doing a wonderful job. He was detailed in his planner. He wrote down all of his homework, and he got the pizza party. I was so proud of him. And then I said, what can we do next to inspire you to keep using this planner, because look at all the great things you're doing. You're getting your homework in on time. You're more organized. And he said, I don't need a goal because the planner helped me to do my homework, and that's incentive enough. And I was so proud, and he used his planner regularly all year. And it was a great moment for me, and I think for the student.
Thanks so much, Sarah. As you can hopefully tell based on her segment of this presentation, our Promise Fellows are incredibly passionate about the work that they do. And while we do provide Promise Fellows with structure, and we ask the host sites to also provide Promise Fellows with additional structure, it really is amazing to see what the Promise Fellows bring themselves to the different host sites that they're serving at. So here are a few of our fellows. We have Anna and Ali currently serving at White Bear Middle School, and then at the Boys and Girls Club of the Twin Cities. So if this sounds like something that you'd potentially be interested in learning more about, we will cover a few of the host site expectations. As a host site, you are expected to have a youth success team. Most of those teams are typically in place given the admin structure of the organizations that we work with. So Promise Fellows will need access to student data, again, to track their students throughout their term, as well as to provide additional support during those interventions, so you can go through and track what assignments have been in, what the attendance rates look like, etc. In addition to having a supervisor at each site, we do ask for a recruitment lead. The host sites do manage a fair amount of the recruitment of the members, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. For cash match, your financial contribution as a host site for a 40-hour-a-week position is $7,700 for our current 2018-2019 service term. For our 30 hours per week position, the cash match is $5,390. That is your full financial contribution for the position. There are in-kind requirements such as an office space, access to a computer, miscellaneous office supplies. However, all of the HR benefits, the living stipend, all of that comes through us here at the Alliance, so you are not responsible for managing any of that at the host site or the district level. Regarding member recruitment, individual sites are responsible to recruit and fill each spot that they are awarded. The Alliance provides additional resources and support to help fill these spots for the successful program year. Recruitment expenses that are included in that initial cash match is our online application portal. Host sites receive tailored marketing materials specific to your site. We at the Alliance do blanket recruiting, so we have a presence at all of the major colleges and universities, posting about our positions on job boards, attending career fairs, meeting with classes, and then we also do provide individualized recruitment support from the Alliance if you are struggling to find your member. Our website has more information about the application process. If you are interested in hosting Promise Fellows, please reach out. My contact information is on the next slide. We would love to set up a conversation with you to learn more about your school's needs and to learn more about our model as well. So we'd love to hear from you. We are still accepting applications to host for this upcoming fall. We also see value in having these conversations for future years. So if this is something that you'd be interested in bringing to your school or your organization in the next few years, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We would love to share more about the program.